Beyond the mandate, active AI governance, and the 2026 institutional standard, the era of theoretical AI risk is over. As we move into 2026 and beyond, the global financial landscape has evolved from a phase of hardline enforcement into a permanent state of active governance. For the C-suite and the board of directors, AI governance has migrated from a technical checkbox buried within the IT department to a central pillar of fiduciary liability. We are no longer merely preparing for the EU AI Act, the MAS FEAT principles, or SR 11-7. We are now operating within a fully realized, integrated global regulatory environment. The transition is complete. The convergence of global standards is our new operational reality. The common thread across every major jurisdiction is a new uncompromising mandate. Regulators now expect the same level of real-time precision, documentation, and risk mitigation for a neural network that they have historically required for a Tier 1 liquidity ratio or a capital adequacy assessment. The era of grace periods and regulatory sandboxes for experimentation has officially closed. Today, the cost of inaction is no longer measured in minor administrative fines. It is measured in the potential loss of banking licenses, systemic contagion risk, and the personal legal liability of those at the helm of the institution. This briefing examines the post-2025 landscape, a world where passive oversight has been replaced by continuous AI compliance monitoring and active governance. The new architecture. Governance as a dynamic system. In this new cycle, governance is the foundation of the updated 3 lines of defense. However, the structure of that governance has fundamentally changed. It has become automated. Regulators have moved past high-level policy documents and statements of intent. They now demand granular proof of how model risk management, MRM, is integrated into the daily, automated decision-making fabric of the firm. This is about accountability at the highest level. In Switzerland, FINMA's stance has reached a point of absolute clarity. If an outcome is produced by a black box that cannot be decoded and justified, that model is an unacceptable institutional liability. Period. In the 2026 environment, a materiality assessment is no longer a periodic exercise performed once a year during a committee meeting. It is a real-time, digital gateway. You must be able to quantify the risk, mathematically and legally, before the model is ever permitted to touch live production data. Consider the recent landscape. We have seen enforcement actions in the UK and Europe targeted at firms not necessarily because their AI failed in a spectacular technical fashion, but because the leadership could not prove who owned the risk. The governance was fragmented. The board assumed IT was monitoring the models. IT assumed the risk department had it covered, and risk assumed the business units were self-policing. This is where the fiduciary gap lives, and in 2026, regulators are aggressively closing it. For a board member, the reality is stark. You are personally responsible for ensuring the firm's AI does not violate fair lending laws, anti-money laundering protocols, or consumer protection statutes. Oversight is no longer a retrospective review of what happened last quarter. It is a proactive, continuous mandate. Operational resilience. The frontier of market stability. Operational resilience has emerged as the next great frontier. We have seen a total shift from periodic manual audits to what is now the industry standard, continuous AI compliance monitoring. The logic driving this shift is unavoidable. AI models are fundamentally different from traditional software. They are dynamic. They drift. They evolve as the underlying data landscapes shift and as consumer behaviors change. In Japan, The FSA has become increasingly focused on how these infinitesimal shifts in model parameters can aggregate to impact broader market stability. If a trading algorithm or a credit-granting model shifts its internal weights in a way that creates a flash liquidity event or a sudden, unexplained contraction in credit, the firm's capital adequacy and its Pillar 3 disclosure come into immediate public question. In the 2026 horizon, it is no longer sufficient for a model to simply work or generate profit. It must remain strictly and demonstrably within the predefined, automated risk appetite of the institution. However, a significant danger remains for laggards. Any institution still relying on manual spreadsheets or disparate emails to track their AI deployments is operating in a state of extreme vulnerability. Manual tracking is now viewed by regulatory examiners as a red flag for a lack of institutional control. Supervisors in the United States, Singapore, and the European Union are now looking specifically for model inventory automation. They require a real-time digital map of every model in production, its complete data lineage, its training history, and its current performance metrics. If your team cannot produce a comprehensive, automated inventory during a surprise supervisory examination, you have already failed the resilience test. From a board perspective, this is about protecting the franchise. A single, unmonitored model failure can lead to a liquidity crisis or a massive reputational hit that wipes out years of brand equity. This isn't a technical glitch. It is a direct threat to the firm's solvency. Algorithmic transparency and the cost of capital. Transparency is often misunderstood as a technical challenge for data scientists. In 2026, it is recognized as a core legal and compliance requirement. Under the full implementation of Article 10 of the EU AI Act and similar global mirrors, high-risk systems must meet absolute standards for data governance and explainability. This means your MRM framework must include a kill switch capability, the ability to immediately halt a model's operations if its outputs begin to deviate from regulatory norms. If a regulator in Hong Kong or London asks your team to explain a specific automated decision, and the response involves proprietary complexity or black box architecture, the institution is essentially admitting to a lack of internal control. Transparency is the only true antidote to enforcement risk. Think about the implications for Pillar 3 disclosure. Investors, analysts, and regulators now expect a clear, transparent accounting of how AI affects the overall risk profile of the bank. If your transparency is low, your perceived risk weighting goes up. For the C-suite, this is a bottom-line issue regarding the cost of capital. An opaque institution is a risky institution, and the markets will price that risk accordingly. Ensuring transparency is not just about compliance. It is about maintaining the trust of the global financial markets. It is a strategic imperative that goes directly to the heart of the firm's valuation and its standing in the world's primary financial hubs. Third-party risk management, TPRM, and systemic contagion. We must also address the permanence and complexity of third-party risk management, or TPRM. No modern financial institution builds every tool in-house. We are all dependent on a sprawling, interconnected web of vendors, cloud infrastructure providers, and specialized AI research labs. However, the regulator's perspective remains unwavering. The liability stays with the license holder. You cannot outsource your responsibility to a third party. The implementation gap here is where many firms remain exposed. Traditional TPRM processes designed for software as a service are utterly insufficient for generative models or complex AI agents that consume and produce sensitive institutional data. To mitigate this risk, continuous AI compliance monitoring must extend beyond the firm's internal firewall and into the vendor ecosystem. You need to know in real time if a vendor's model has drifted or if their underlying data security has been compromised. For the board, this is a matter of preventing systemic contagion. A failure at a key AI vendor can ripple through your entire operation in seconds. Your fiduciary duty now includes the rigorous, automated oversight of every link in your digital supply chain. The path forward. Priority actions for the 2026 horizon. As we look toward the 2026 horizon, the move toward active governance is accelerating. The period of wait and see has ended. We are now in an era of high-stakes implementation where the winners will be those who view governance as a competitive advantage, a way to move faster and more safely than the competition, rather than a regulatory burden. To bridge the current risk gap and ensure institutional excellence, there are 3 priority actions every executive team should mandate immediately. Deploy model inventory automation. Move away from manual tracking entirely. Invest in platforms that provide a single source of truth for every AI asset in the firm, ensuring you are audit-ready at a moment's notice. Institutionalize materiality assessments. Make real-time, mathematically rigorous materiality assessments the baseline for all AI-augmented decisioning. If you can't measure the risk, you don't deploy the model. Integrate TPRM into continuous monitoring. Ensure that your third-party AI partners are held to the same transparency and monitoring standards as your internal teams. Your kill switch must extend to your vendors. This is the new standard for the global financial sector. It is clinical, it is rigorous, and it is mandatory. By aligning your governance with these expectations, you protect the institution, you protect the shareholders, and you protect your own professional standing in an increasingly scrutinized global environment. Executive Strategic Summary. The shift into 2026 marks a definitive turning point. Innovation is now inseparable from model risk management. For the modern executive, the challenge is twofold: ensuring that complex, non-linear models remain within the guardrails of traditional risk management, and ensuring that these models do not create unforeseen fiduciary liabilities. The path forward requires a total transition to active governance. This means moving beyond static policies toward a system of continuous AI compliance monitoring. By taking these steps, firms can ensure that their AI initiatives contribute to long-term growth and stability without exposing the institution to systemic risk or enforcement actions. The goal is to build a framework that is as dynamic as the technology it governs, ensuring that the institution remains resilient, transparent, and fully compliant in a rapidly changing global market. If this briefing has provided a necessary lens for your 2026 strategic planning, I invite you to align with our ongoing strategic updates. By subscribing to this channel, you ensure that you and your executive team remain informed on the critical intersections of AI governance, global regulation, and fiduciary accountability. If you found these insights relevant to your current institutional trajectory, please indicate so by liking the video. It assists us in prioritizing the high-stakes topics most vital to the global financial community. Thank you for your time and your commitment to institutional excellence.